Now, with regulation of virtual asset service providers gaining momentum, industry leaders say collaboration is key to ensuring transparency and stability in the sector. Now, the chamber maintains that fraudulent activities will not be tolerated and that the industry can become a catalyst for economic expansion if properly managed. And my colleague James Ishan engaged the president of the chamber, Caleb Kweku Afaglo, in an interview.
Digital assets and blockchain innovation ecosystem in Ghana is gradually evolving, especially with conversations surrounding its innovation regulation and also investor protection. I'll be speaking to the president of the chamber to delve within this prospect and challenges. Grateful to sit and have this conversation with us today. Now, I just want to start from when we say blockchain, digital assets, what is it about? Because we've heard quite a number of stories about digital asset and blockchain innovation. What is it basically about?
Okay, I'll start with virtual assets. Then we'll roll into it because the virtual asset bill was passed into law in December, which is now the Virtual Assets Act 1154. And so I'll start with that. The virtual asset is just a digital representation of real world assets. So let's say we pick gold. If you want to take gold and put it on your phone and fractionalize it into small pieces, and somebody can buy a piece of it today, that is a representation. So that represents a virtual asset. It's not physical, but it actually has a backing of money behind it. So that's a virtual asset. That money can be traded and sent to you, can be sent to somebody else, or it can be transferred into physical cash, which somebody may call it fiat. So that's the basis of the technology.
Now, we know Parliament in December 2025 passed the bill, that is the virtual asset bill, and also being assented by the president. For a chamber, the question now is, what is the mandate?
That is where our real work started, because you have an ecosystem that was formerly in the shadows and now coming into the light. Who speaks for them? So the Chamber of Digital Assets was put together to be able to speak or be a conduit between the regulator and then the ecosystem. Currently registered, it's about 115, 120 registered people with various activities within just one company. So one company can have maybe 7 different activities. It might be regulated based off how our bill is, our act now is structured. It's structured on activity base. So they might have a license with BOG, they might have a license with SEC. Then, so the 115 means a lot of work for the regulator, and we sit in the middle to be able to make sure that the right thing is done on the regulator side. No, the right thing is done on the industry side. So the regulator can have an industry that they can regulate. So we are the mouthpiece of the ecosystem.
Another question now had to do with gaps. What are the gaps you intend to fill as a chamber before we go into other areas? We have regulation and all of that. What are some of the gaps?
It's 1,000,001 gap. The industry is new. So let me give you a good example. An industry of young people, the CEOs are maybe 27, 26, 30, 31. Then one of the requirements within the industry is AML, which is anti-money laundering. You pick that, and most of the people who are certified AML or understand AML are from the banking industry. And the way the law is structured, the law says that the AML officer should report to the board. By Ghana standards, that board will be person with experience. So give or take 5 years experience, 6 years experience. So if the person got out of uni and they're about 23, another 5 years, they are 28. They are structured in a way to only understand what the banking system is. So when they come in, they are coming with their expertise on AML from the banking sector. But virtual asset is very different. What might be a flag in the banking system might not necessarily be a flag in the virtual asset space. So what we've done is work with the GIMPA to be able to put together a certification program that actually educates people on AML, virtual assets, investigation, and board level reporting. So at the end of the day, there are no gaps that cannot be filled with education. So I believe the whole country needs to be educated. The end user needs to be educated. The worker on the system needs to be educated. And the regulator need to understand that the people they are going to regulate are actually ready for regulation.
Now, let's come to adoption. You've had your bill being passed now. How would you describe the state of digital assets and blockchain innovation with respect to adoption in our part of the world?
We are getting into an industry, a $1 trillion industry. Sending money from here to, let's say, France takes a while. But this virtual asset makes that easy. I'll give you a couple of examples. The farmer who farms gold cannot get money to farm the quantity they are looking for. But virtual asset through tokenization can allow them to actually pre-finance legally and farm their gold, and also trace who owns this farm. Are we employing young people who are underage, where child labor is involved throughout this whole process? That is where we bring traceability in. Traceability is the ability to trace what we can tokenize, but you can't tokenize something you cannot trace. So at the end of the day, the blockchain virtual assets is the solution to fill most of the gaps in Ghana that we have with respect to our commodities, respect to international transfers, with respect to raising funds, even for real estate. So the gaps to fill on employment is enormous. The gaps on the young people being employed, so many of them. You are talking builders, you are talking engineers, you are talking investigators, you are talking people who even go to court and report because they are experts in these fields. So we can do a lot in this field.
I'll come to the job creation bit later. But then another question had to do with how do we sort of compare ourselves to other countries with respect to development within this area?
Ghana is far ahead because most countries have frameworks, but we have actually passed a law. And the regulators are putting together guidelines to be able to regulate the unregulated. So we are far ahead, and we are hoping to become the hub for employment and understanding how to regulate this industry so other countries can learn from us. With that going, we can now become the shining star that we've always been and always referenced in history as the Black Stars.
We're always known for starting and always sometimes there are challenges.
Yes,
By the way,
yes.
How would you assess the regulatory approach so far?
Thus far, BOG, SEC, FIC have been good with the industry in terms of it's been inclusive, even all the way to passing the bill. It's been very inclusive. And are there room for improvement? Yes. And the industry is ready to help bridge that gap of inclusiveness.
What have been the challenges with respect to engagement with the Bank of Ghana, Securities and Exchange Commission and all of that?
Honestly, there has been no challenge because for once, something is starting new and there's a voice, a united voice that can actually speak for the ecosystem and be able to translate what the ecosystem is saying to the regulators. So it's a two-way street where they are listening and we are speaking.